Hello, Alan. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Alan Morgan. I'm 37 years old and I'm a real world student.
And what brought you to the real world? Why did you decide to join?
So, I started my journey about 6 months ago, 7 months ago, uh, uh, because I was kind of like scrolling around on social media, whatnot, bouncing around, and I saw some things that were advertised, that came across like reels. It was Andrew Tate talking about what was called the Hustlers University a while ago, and at first I was kind of like, I'm skeptical. I don't really know. It sounds good, but I didn't really want to like kick in, kick in the time and investment. And as time went on, I started seeing everyone talking about their wins and what they've done and how it's helped them and how they don't have to work a job anymore and how they, they're financially free. And it's always something that I've aspired to. I kind of don't like working for other people. So I finally settled in, clicked in, checked it out, started poking around the campus. And from there, the rest is history.
Hmm. Which campuses did you end up joining and sticking to?
So when I first joined the real world, I started out by going through their placement quiz. And originally, the placement quiz posted me in the content creation and AI campus. And I started checking out, looking around, seeing how things worked. And then looking at the time requirements, I wasn't able to 100% subscribe to it because, I work a full time job. I'm a husband to a wife, father of four. We all do martial arts. We're all heavy into martial arts, and I also am going to school part time at a local community college to learn get an AutoCAD certificate for my as part of my employment. And so my schedule was just booked. On top of that, I was taking discipleship classes, at our church and everything. And I really didn't have the 4 to 5 hours a day to commit to it. So then after, bouncing around, hopping campus to campus, kind of checking out what's what, I ended up settling in the business campus. And as I worked at the business campus, I learned the fundamentals of running a business, things like social skills, networking, storytelling, sales, marketing. I followed the business in a box course and I set up my own website for my little marketing agency called Maslin Marketing Solutions. Then as I was going through the material, Professor Arno said something that really hit me. He talked about how a family member of his would always ask him like how to make money, and he'd tell her the same thing. He'd say, "Learn a skill, get good at it, and then sell it." And that moment made me kind of realize like I need to learn a skill that I can apply to the lessons that I've learned in the business campus. And that's when I decided to go all in on the copywriting campus.
Hmm. Okay, man. So quite a few content creation in AI, then not enough
Mhm.
time. So business mastery, learn seems like very useful skills from business mastery. Then to actually apply
Mhm.
them, got into copywriting. So what was the process like of actually learning copywriting for you?
So, like I said, I bounced around into different campuses, but I felt like I connected most with, Professor Andrew Bass. I liked his teaching style. I like his mindset. He's from the U.S. He believes in God, and he understands people on a deep psychological level, which is something I really wanted to master. Since then, I've been following the course material and applying everything I've learned. I started, going through the classes, and the very first thing after he basically touches base on what marketing is and how the different sales funnels and whatnot. I started with three clients to apply to my newly acquired skills. The first one was my wife's home bakery. The second one is my friend's landscaping business, and the third was a martial arts academy. I helped the landscaping business, gather positive reviews and testimonials. I built a social media campaign for the martial arts gym, and I helped my wife kind of come up with a more structured way of doing warm outreach to people that she knows and following, special events in their birthdays. That way she could preemptively reach out to them and start marketing some of her goods. And then I finally landed a commercial construction company who I am currently setting up a landing page, a Google My Business profile. And after that's all set up, I'll be running, Google ads to target businesses that need commercial maintenance.
Hmm.
The campus is structured in a very deliberate way. The biggest thing is they want you to learn on the job, which is the best way to learn. And he basically, right after you get the fundamentals, he crash courses you into, find a someone in your warm outreach inner circle to start providing services for. And the thing that Andrew Bass kept saying was that, you may have people in your inner circle that you don't even know about, and it's not necessarily who you know, it's also who they know. And if you just take a little bit of time, you'll be surprised that you actually know more people that you think that own businesses, and you'll be able to provide marketing services for them. So that's basically what I did. And ironically, yeah, he couldn't be more right. So that's what I started doing. I started writing, started going through the process. Basically, if you just literally, like they say over and over again, do what they tell you to do, you will find someone in your inner circle that you're able to provide measurable results for to get the ball rolling. So
Hmm.
that's pretty
Yep,
much
yep,
been, my experience thus far.
yep. And this is still while working a full-time job, right?
Oh yes, I am insanely busy. So basically, I'm a maintenance technician at a place that is essentially the beginning stages of Band-Aids. They're an adhesive coating company. And my job duties there are, any kind of machine maintenance, any kind of commercial remodel. I draw blueprints, etc. I typically work 6 days a week. Our schedule is Tuesday to Saturday. Well, we can work Mondays if we want. I never really wanted to work straight time on Saturday. Something about that kind of irked me, so I would just go in and work Mondays. I also do part-time school as my employer wanted me to take on the responsibilities of drawing the blueprints. They're in-house, they're super self-sufficient, and so I took on classes at a local community college to learn the skills to develop or to draw their blueprints and and render 3D imaging, 3D models and whatnot. And so, working 6 days a week, going to school part time, taking 2 to 3 classes a semester. I do martial arts with my whole family. My oldest son, Jordan, he does Krav Maga and jujitsu. My little girl does jujitsu, and my two boys also do jujitsu. So everyone, even my wife, she goes through self defense courses and all kinds of martial arts stuff. So we're heavily into martial arts, and on top of that, we're very active at our local church. I do security at our local church. My wife does security as well. She helps out with all the ladies fellowship, anything that has to do with women's fellowship. And we were recently approached by our pastor to assume the duties of, youth ministry, to work with the teenagers and helping them out, because that's a very pivotal point in someone's life, is when they become a teenager, they start becoming more worldly and they start straying off the path. And he just saw us as a powerful couple who would be able to help, keep teenagers on the righteous path, so that way they can, get it from get the message from somebody who is, out here in the world with them, not so shut off away from everything, someone who could level with them, someone who could reason with them, someone who does cool stuff, someone who's high energy, works out, different stuff like that. So we're definitely very, very busy, so to speak. So it was really, when it come down to what campus I was going to pick, I ended up starting off with the business mastery course with Professor Arno, because his time demands weren't very much. It was 15 minutes to 2 hours a day, basically what you could do. And then after that, I'm like, okay, now I really need to learn a skill. And so then I went to the copywriting campus, and basically at work I was painting our new facility. We built a whole new facility. It's literally the same thing but mirrored on the other side of the driveway. And while I was in there, I mean, we've been in there painting it for a year. So while I was painting, I went ahead and threw my headphones in, and I would just in the background listen to the copywriting lessons. So I'd go through the copywriting boot camp over and over and over again, because the thing is, I really didn't have the commitment to sit down for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Some of Andrew Basco is very, very in depth when it comes to his classes. I mean, his stuff is on point. But unfortunately, due to my cramped schedule, I wasn't able to just sit down for an hour, hour 15, hour 45, however long the class may be, and just consume this content because, as a full time employee, as a college student, as a very active parent, I really didn't have the time. So I would just listen to it at work passively over and over and over and over again. And then I would use the checklist that's inside of the Real World app, and I would post any kind of missions. Andrew Bass calls them missions. He doesn't like call them homework. He says homeworks are for, college students. He calls them missions. So I would post whatever missions I need to do in the checklist, and I would just work off the checklist because, working off a checklist makes you like 60% more productive or something to that effect. And so then I would go home and I would apply all the lessons that I've learned. And yeah, that's pretty much how I managed being able to go through the real world while also being a full-time employee and all the other stuff I juggle in life.
Yep. So, with how busy you are, how much extra income did you end up getting from what you've done with your work as a copywriter?
So as a copywriter, I've been able to increase my wife's home bakery sales. So that became steady income. So we're actually pulling in anywhere from, $80 a week of people fulfilling like weekly orders. We sell these like homemade granola bars. They're very, very good, very, very healthy. They're high protein food. Everything's all natural ingredients. And we usually get somewhere from about $60 to $80 a week just in reoccurring revenue from that. And that's not including, the birthday cakes or the cupcakes that might come in or when someone orders sourdough. So it's actually significantly increased our monthly income just out of our household from anywhere from like 400 to maybe 1200, maybe 1500 a month, just kind of depending on what happens there. So that's been huge, pivotal, and making our financial situation better. On top of that, I went through the Dylan Madden courses, like I mentioned earlier about that martial arts academy that had was going out of business and needed to basically wrap up the classes and get rid of a bunch of gear. I bought a bunch of these. They're called Wave Master punching bags, and they usually go for around $400 a piece. Well, they gave me like 6 of them, and I ended up buying like 4 more. I kept 2 of them, but I sold the other 8 for about $200 a piece. So I crushed it on that. I was getting money hand over fist, and on top of that, I acquired a bunch of other training gear, which we're just going to keep and use because why not? And then outside of that, I was approached by a gentleman at work who is currently building his dream home. His dad owns a plot of land. His dad gave him a parcel of property for him to build a house. He started building a house, and the guy is an attorney. He's very, very smart. He does a lot of research on his own, but he's not like very, very mechanical. And they're basically funding it out of pocket. So him and his dad are basically dipping into their own savings to get this house built because they can't acquire a loan, as they like the banks won't give just anyone a loan when it comes to building a house. They don't want to give someone, 200 grand and say, okay, go build the house. And they're not qualified to build a house. You know what I'm saying? So I was approached because he got to a point where he needed to get drywall done, and he's sitting down. He's like, I'm doing the math, and these contractors billing me this outrageous price. They're quoting me at like 35, 40 grand for them to come in and hang all this drywall in this 3,500 square foot house. And I'm like, well, yeah. He was like, well, that's like paying their employees $110 an hour. I said, well, buddy, you're not just paying his employees, you're also paying him. You're paying for him for his experience, you're paying for his insurance, you're paying for his tools, his usage, his gas, etc. He's like, yeah, I know. He's like, I wouldn't have a problem, managing the logistics of the supplies and everything there. It's just I can't justify paying that. So I started using the empathy course. I started using lessons from the empathy course that I got in Andrew Bass's class about understanding someone from their perspective and what they want. And then I started applying also the other lessons of understanding what their desires are and raising trust and belief, create curiosity, keep managing the client relationships, different stuff like that. So I started talking to him. I said, hey, man, I wouldn't mind coming in and hanging your drywall, finishing it, getting it painted and everything. We come in and manage the whole process from start to finish. But there's going to be a cost. And basically, I'm going to have to pay other people. So if you could give me a labor deposit of $2,500 a week, me and someone else can come in and we can hang all the drywall for you. And he was on board right away. I showed him pictures of previous jobs that we worked on. I showed him pictures of the current job that we're working on. I reassured him that he's in good hands. And his whole thing was he wanted to be living in his house by Christmas, and obviously he's way past that. And he was just having trouble getting stuff done. And I said, well, don't worry about it. We'll come in, we'll do whatever you need to get done. That's no problem. But if you add other tasks, it's going to add time. Just keep that in mind. And so basically he agreed to it. And so I arranged it in a way that we get paid before we get there instead of after. And essentially he would give me $2,500 a week. Me and a buddy of mine would go in and do a bunch of work and give him an update of where we're at each week. And we've been there for a total of 3 weeks. So we made $7,500. He's got a few things he has to take care of. He has to get his furnace up and going because we live in Ohio. Right now it's winter time and it was like 7 degrees, and the poor guy's buying a bunch of propane and everything. So we got, 90% of the stuff done. The house is insulated. He's hanging drywall. We're hanging drywall. He's got to get the furnace going. He's got to do some stuff with the bathrooms and the plumbing and whatnot. And then once he's done, we're going to come back in, finish hanging the drywall. I'm then going to subcontract out the finish work, the mud, the tape, and all that to my stepdad, who's going to come in. And so he's going to capitalize on it. And then after that, I'm going to circle back around and I'm going to paint it. So at the end of it, I'm probably going to make somewhere around 15 to 17,000 off of this job in revenue. And I'm going to have saved the business owner probably 10 to 15 grand at least. So it's a good win-win scenario. I'm helping him out. He's helping me out. I'm helping people I know out. So all in all, it's very, very lucrative and beneficial for all parties. So I just feel like it's really good business. And that's something that Andrew Bass really, really puts emphasis on, is making sure that it's good for all parties.
Yep. And clearly, the lessons you've been implementing have been applicable to every aspect of life from everything you're saying.
Oh,
So,
oh
amazing to hear.
man. There's something that Arno said. He said that these lessons that you're going to learn, you're gonna know them for life. So once you learn them, once you understand them, once you start applying them, it's not something that, okay, I learned, Netflix your way through, and then you never use it again. No, you're gonna use it every single day. You're gonna learn social skills. You're gonna learn how to network. You're gonna learn how to manage client relationships. You're gonna learn how to run a business. You're gonna learn what people, like if you go through Andrew Bass's course, you're gonna learn what people are thinking, what motivates them, what makes them tick. You get the psychology behind everything, so you get to understand people on a deeper level instead of at a face value. And if you go through Dylan Madden's course, you're going to learn how to, generate wealth from basically nothing, like with the punching bags that I was able to get and turn around and flip and generate money. There's so much value. I often regret the fact that I didn't jump on board sooner. Hindsight's always 2020, but thinking back, I'm like, man, if I would have got on this, see, I've been going to this local college, and depending on what you go for, it can be valuable. Like I'm currently trying to finish up an advanced CAD certificate, which is a marketable skill, something I can use, something I plan on using. So it's, to me, I'm like, okay, so it's not a total waste. But if I would have instead said, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go all in on the real world and maximize the amount of money. If I had understood what the real world was before I had subscribed to this program that my employer paid for, and so I'm going to honor it. I'm going to do it, just because he forked out the money. So I'm going to finish it. But moving forward, once this semester is complete and I will have completed the advanced CAD certificate, that's it. I'm done. Washing my hands, and I'm going full bore into the real world lessons. My goal is to hit 6,000 a month. Once I hit 6,000 a month, adios, working for myself. and then I can free up a lot more time to be able to dedicate to my own business. Once I can do that, then my next goal is to start hitting the 10K a month threshold, because that's from that point I'm matrix free. I'm no longer relying on anybody. My income on my own businesses now surpass what I was making for someone else. I can afford private insurance for my family. And then from there, I mean, really, sky's the limit. I want to get into building a team and just going full bore into digital marketing and whatever other venture. Really, I'll grab at anything. Doesn't really matter right now. My goal is to just make as much money as humanly possible.
And it's amazing the paths, the doors that opens up after having the guidance and going through the lessons. Like you see what is actually possible, and the best way to optimize your time, and just the whole roadmap you're able to see to now get to what you're saying. Like everything you've laid out now, completely
Mhm.
achievable. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
you
and
you
before
just
joining the
you
real
just
world,
gotta you gotta dial
uh,
in. You gotta get laser focused. They tell you how to manage your time. They tell you how to time block. They teach you how to stay strong, how to be high energy. I mean, there are so many lessons. If you just buckle into one campus, that's all you really need. See, I made the mistake of, well, not necessarily a mistake, but I spent a lot of time hopping from campus to campus. There's a lot of good stuff all over the place. But if you just dial into one thing, you're really, really, really good at that. You're gonna do well, and it's really cut and dry. They literally map it out for you. You just have to apply yourself. And the most beneficial part of the real world is the community. So if you get on there and you're struggling, you have thousands of people and resources at your fingertips. Like, hey guys, I'm struggling with this. What do you think? And the thing that I appreciate about the real world is they're not taking this beat around the bush, you know, doughboy approach. They're like, hey man, this is where you're messing up. This is where you need to focus. You need to man up. Stop being lazy. Don't make this excuse. Do what you need to do. And the thing about that is you'll see that mentality in a lot of places where things are hyper competitive. So for instance, if you play sports, if you're a sports guy, I'm not a sports guy. I'm a combat I'm a combat sports guy. I like to spar, I like to fight. That's my thing. But if you're a sports guy, you're gonna hear your coach. He's gonna be pushing you. He's gonna be telling you, step it up, man up. Quit crying, etc. You go into martial arts. There's none of that in martial arts. You come into martial arts if you're gonna, you know, kick around and fart around and whine and cry, they're probably going to ask you to leave. More likely, and they're going to tell you like you need to push harder. You need to do this correctly. You're not throwing this punch correctly. You're going to break your hand. You're going to twist your knee. They're going to keep on you. Well, the real world is much like that. You're pretty much at the disposal of a whole bunch of people who have a lot more experience than you and are able to guide you along the way, much like like a sensei would in martial arts, or much like a real mentor would in real life. It's just there's endless value, endless value.
mhm, very well said. And with all of that said, what's the total you've made then that you can relate to the real world? Because you've given a by job. So if you were to
Mhm.
combine everything, what's roughly the total amount so far made?
It's hard to really put a set dollar amount on it, honestly. I am still employed. I'm not 100% self-employed, but I would have to say easily over 10 grand. So, and that's just off of the side hustles. That's just off of, like for instance, the drywall job. I'm currently at 7,500. The the punching bags that I sold and flipped. I mean, I made a couple grand off of that. My wife's bakery is steadily bringing in money. So I don't know, another couple grand off of that. I had so I listened to one of Andrew Tate's podcasts where he said he went into his employer and he said, I'm at a position where I need to be paid more. And his employer was like, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, okay, well, that's unfortunate. I'm still going to crush it. But I just want to let you know that I am at a position where I need to make more money. I literally extracted that and applied it towards asking for a raise at my current employer. I went in, I said, "Hey, I appreciate everything. I like working here. I'm at a position where I need to make more money. And I was totally honest with him, like my vehicle's giving me problems and I'm just not making enough. And he said, well, I feel like you're at a fair rate. I said, well, I understand that and I appreciate that. I do more than the average guy on a daily basis. You know this, it's obvious. And you got to do what you got to do, and I have to do what I got to do. So we're all at a situation where unfortunately, I'm in a position I need to make more money, and I left it at that. Very confident, and I was like, I'm going to continue to do my job. And if you can find it in you to give it to me, I appreciate it. And I left, and I went back to work. Next paycheck, boom, raise. So it's hard to even really like put a dollar amount on it, because now in all facets of life, my wealth is just steadily increasing. And that's going to be, once you start winning, you get this energy, you get this motivation, like, oh man, I'm just going to keep winning. I'm just keep climbing this ladder. So to put a number on it, it's really hard to even say. I mean, I haven't really sat down and punched the numbers, but has my financial situation gotten better? Oh, hand over fist. Yes. I'm doing astronomically better than I was 6 months ago when I joined the real world. And this is just the beginning. I'm just scratching the surface. I'm not even like hip deep yet. Like I'm not even cannonballed in yet. So I would say on a small scale, at least 10 grand. And I mean, who knows where I'll be in 6 months when I'm finally done with these college courses, when I'm able to fully apply myself, like where am I going to be? Who knows? So right now I would say about 10, maybe 12 grand. And moving forward, I don't know. I don't know. We'll
It
see.
will get exponential with the trajectory you're on. I'm sure it will be exponential.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm hoping to keep hitting the leaderboards. I'm hoping to keep posting my wins. I want to keep working through the course material. Basically, I got this ambition where I'm always trying to get to the top of whatever I do. That's just who I am as a person. So I'm certain that in just a short matter of time, I'm gonna be one of those guys, one of those heavy hitters, and that's exactly where I want to be. And so my goal is get to the point where I'm crushing it in the real world, and then at some point I want to apply for the war room and start going in that direction. Start getting surrounded, because you are some of the crowd you keep. That is vastly apparent, and I only want to surround myself. I only want to surround my children, my wife, my people with real winners, so that way they can focus on just being part of that crowd. Because you really have to be very selective on who you surround yourself with, because that's astronomical. You could surround yourself by winners and you'll be a winner. You surround yourself by losers, well, guess what? You're going to be a loser. That's just the way it is. I know it's a harsh reality, but it is what it is.
Awesome. I loved listening to that. So I think we can wrap up with a final question. So
Okay.
since the real world has benefited you so much, what do you say to people who are unsure about joining because they think, what if I get scammed for $50?
So if you're uncertain about joining, I would just give them my testimonial. I would say, hey, listen, it's worked for me, and if you're one of my people and you're skeptical on it, take into consideration all the money that you waste away on a weekly basis. When you're stopping and getting fast food, or you're stopping at the gas station, running in, grabbing a few drinks, your Netflix account, all your other streaming accounts, everything that you steadily waste money away. I'm certain it's more than $50 a month, 100%. So you've allowed yourself to scam yourself on things that aren't going to bring you any value. It's never going to help you to have that Netflix subscription. It's never going to help you to go in and waste away money on things at a convenience store. If you were to dial back there's people who have a Planet, you want to talk about a scam. There's people who have a Planet Fitness membership and they never go to the gym. Like, what are you doing? So that being said, this actually provides value. You're actually going to learn stuff that's going to help you make money. If you go through the course lessons and each month you only make $50, then that covers your subscription. At that point, you are at a zero loss. What other subscription do you have? Are you even making back what you're paying into it? Nothing. Nothing. You're not going to make your money back off of Netflix. You're not going to make your money back off that Planet Fitness membership. You're not going to make your money back off of all these little fast food joints and everything that you steadily waste your money away. Go spend it. Go spend an evening at a bar. You're going to get any of that money back? You're going to get some socialization. You're surrounding yourself around people with hedonistic behavior and degenerate behavior. Are you going to get that money back? No. But if you join the real world, you're going to get that money back, and then you're going to get a lot more money back if you just stop being lazy and do the work. Period.
Very well said. All right. So, Alan, thank you for coming on and sharing your story. Been amazing to
Yeah.
listen to. 37 years old, super busy, as you said, full time job, father of 4 kids, husband, in college as well. And then on the side was whenever you had any free time trying to multitask, listen to the lessons, and then actually implemented them and now earning substantial amount of money on the side from it, which is infinitely scalable. Can I say infinitely? Let's just say infinitely scalable. Like there's so much potential there, and as you say, you're just scratching the surface. There's so much more you'll implement. So in future, we
Mm-hmm.
can do a follow up to get an update on that progress. I think that would be pretty cool. And until
Yeah,
then, I
absolutely.
wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.